Across the Park podcast is proud to be sponsored by Globe Gas and Heating. For the best kitchen and bathroom renovations, boiler servicing and repair, and central and underfloor heating in the Northwest, head over to globecentralheating.com and quote Across the Park for a free quote.
Hello everyone, welcome to Across the Park podcast. Mills is on location today.
I am.
I'm not. We're in the back room of my house, so thanks as always to Roxall for supporting us with our usual face-to-face venue. Unfortunately today, they've got a function on in the room that we usually occupy, so there's a little plug anyway. Really good room to be fair, capacity of 30 to 50 people, free function hire. They obviously put on a cracking spread and they got decent tail behind the bar. But
You're looking smart, by the way.
cheers, yeah, and there's another plug. So we had a 25% ATP code for our listeners last week. Speaking to Ver, a lot of you took advantage of that and lapped up the sale items. I've got a few bits on today. So this polo you can get for £15 with our discount code. So that's ATP 25. There's not quite an across the board sale as there was last week, but again, you can pick this up for £15. I think the bomber you can probably get for a decent price as well with our code. So you can still use ATP 25 and that's verclothing.com, or the link will be in the description below along with the code as a reminder. So cheers for that, Mills. Didn't have to remind myself to mention that. But yeah, it's if you follow us on YouTube, if you subscribe on YouTube, please do if you don't. And if you already do, please encourage your mate to listen to it, to subscribe. Honestly, it makes a massive difference. Just seeing it creep up, it gives us a little bit more exposure. We
can do certain things with the accounts, can't we? The more subscribers that we get, we can tweak things to make them look a bit better and push our content more. Possibly even we've been talking about if we can get some good Wi-Fi on location doing live shows, and the more subs we get allows us to maybe look into that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the disappointing thing for us at the moment is there's so many people who listen regularly don't subscribe. Therefore, it stops us from being able to give our subscribers exclusive content because we're worried about people missing out. So when we get to a level where most of the people who watch or listen are subscribers, we can start just putting shows out that are free, no money involved for you guys, but that you'll be able to see as a subscriber and other people won't. But anyway, that's our series of plugs. And the point I was going to make is that there's been plenty of content from us out there this week.
5 shows, including this one.
5 shows, so it's been a busy week for us, but we enjoy it. I had a cracking 30 to 40 minutes with Chris Hannon from the All Together Now movement, obviously behind the fan protests. Chris was so honest and really passionate about his play, the situation that we're in, but more notably about just trying to help us understand his point of view, but recognising that every fan's different and everyone's, what they want to do is try and give all fans a voice and to try and they're not trying to represent everyone. And I think that came across really strongly. I was dead honest in saying that, look, I haven't been to any of the protests, I haven't been on the marches, but I want to get involved and I want to try and help the club move forward. And I think we came to a bit of a consensus at the end, to the extent that I said, look, I might join you the next home game.
Look, I watched it. You've done very well, because I think, like you've just admitted there, you've not been completely on board with it. There's been you've wanted questions answered, and you put forward questions that I think a lot of people who are not in the All Together Now campaign or the motion, or they look at that and go, it's not for me. Judgy asks some really challenging questions to them, and they're just honest people. And whether people agree with wanting better or how we go about getting better, the show that we're talking about that's still on our YouTube channel is designed for people who are not in the All Together Now campaign. There's some really good questions and answers, wasn't there?
Yeah, no, thanks. I appreciate that, because again, admittedly, I'm not on that side completely. I'm not, going to all the protests. I'm not on Twitter, and that was another point I made. I'm not a big Twitter user, and for that reason, I sometimes don't get it. I don't really know where they're up to. I don't know the latest news, and that was something we discussed as well. But anyway, there's that one. You got a show for us as well, Millsy. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, Still Ryan, who's a young TikToker, social media influencer. He's a young lad. I think he's 20. You might have seen him on various social media platforms. He's out there doing positive content. He's a kid who doesn't want to, put videos of put videos in his WhatsApp groups of negative things. Who's out there and making good content, and he's a big blue. So we got him on, and to talk. I'm 38 this month, and to talk to a 20-year-old Evertonian and see the club through his eyes was great. So we done that. We done the instant match reaction with Neil stepped in, and then we done the preview to the Forest game with, if anyone's a bit of a geek like me, used to watch Dream Team. Claire Connolly from Dream Team is a Nottingham Forest fan, and he jumped on, and we done 30 to 40 minutes previewing the big game this weekend as well. And I think we're probably going to do a bit more now, aren't we, unfortunately?
Yeah, as a really interesting couple of comments on that video as well. And listen,
mate.
the comments, anyone who's on YouTube, like, you know, we get some really good support from people and some great feedback, but like any social media platform, there's always some people out there who just like to, unlike Still Ryan, just to be negative and offensive.
Do you know what? We've had loads of indifferent comments, and it's great. You want to rip appearances, you want to rip voice tones, you want to rip opinions. It's all good. It's all great natured. There's a guy out there who just hammers our videos every week. He just puts just negative comments on, and we got one this week, and I know how Ped feels now, getting a level of abuse. I've strived to be quite, you know, to get comments, but I got called the Don Carlio of verbal diarrhea.
Don Corleone.
Or Corleone of verbal diarrhea. I've made it. I have made it. Do you agree with them? Am I that bad?
I mean, look,
all right.
no, I was going to try and empathise with last week's podcast where we went through them questions, and that was painful for me. But I mean, that's a bit harsh. Like, but anyway, it should amuse me. But anyone who looks back at that video with, you know, the preview to the
get in the comments game, and stick up.
Look in the comments and just read it. It is funny. I'll be honest, it's funny. And again, as Millsy said, most of it's good natured. And even in that instance, we took it on the chin and we got on with it. But anyway, we're here to preview ourselves, the Forest game. But before we do, Millsy, I just want to touch on the growing intensity of rumours around the investments in the club. I mean, that heavily relates to my podcast this week on the protest. I asked the question on that podcast, without giving the podcast away too much. When do these protests stop?
Yeah.
Chris's view on it, and his personal opinion, by the way, not the view of everyone, is that if we do replace certain members of the board, or we add to the depth of the board, maybe get a new chairman, you know, maybe have new positions on the board, that people will step away and give that new board more time to execute a new strategy. It seems that if the rumours are true, MSP Sports Capital, I'm not going to try and be a Terry McGivern here and
big American corporate.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're a private equity firm by the looks of it, and they specialise in investing in sports groups. The rumour is that they're very close. There is also rumours, by the way, that they're having similar talks with Tottenham. But Alan Myers, good friends of the show, very, very popular Evertonian and respected.
Top source,
and respected sports journalist, has been posting, you know that those rumours, and you would like to think, as an Evertonian, certainly that there is some truth in that. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it can't be anything but, you know.
Look, it's. I think despite what anyone thinks of the current board, I think their absence, the longer it goes on at home games, it's harder for them to ever really come back. Now, I know they're showing the faces, excuse me, at Anfield, they show the faces at the Emirates in midweek. I don't think they can come back. So I think we're at a point now where they have to...
There's got to be some change, hasn't it?
Yeah, they have to either be replaced or the board has to double in size with more decision makers. Now, for me, I know some people don't like going into the weeds with this, but Everton don't seem to get the best commercial deals to help the club. The finances of the accounts have not yet been released. I think they've been sent to whoever they need to be sent to. They've been filed, So you're going to see them very shortly. I don't think the fact that we had to sell our best player on the last day of the day before the accounts changed into the following year will support that they're not going to look good. What I'm trying to get to is the club, in my opinion, has never been ran well. The decision makers on there, decision makers who give at certain points in the past 6 years unlimited funds to improve the playing squad to the wrong people. They employ the wrong people and they give what could be in football related terms for our life-changing money to see our football club turn into what we want it to be. So there's a number of bad decisions that continually happen and they still happen. I'm looking at January selling, okay, maybe not the most popular player, but another attacking asset and not bringing them in, wheeling the owner out onto a show with fans, promising the fans a striker.
Okay, well let's not go.
It's
Let's
always
not go over ground again because we did cover this heavy last week. But what does this?
it
let's
it
assume
needs
this
to happen
is
for
true.
me. New, fresh
Yeah.
decision makers at the football club. The ones who are there, and again we're going over it, have made historically bad decisions. I no longer trust them to make decisions
I mean,
go
just
forward.
just to make your comments more relevant, the rumours again, and the very strong rumours are that part of the deal includes at least 2 members of their board, if you like, or their senior management team joining the board, and that's what you're getting at, isn't it?
100%. It's not for me just about being bad on the pitch. I hate going to games, and I no longer go to games expecting Everton to win. I'm looking forward more to seeing him and having a pint and seeing how the lads and stuff. And it was only a few years ago we used to go to the game and really, I expect Everton fighting for getting into European places. There was a number of times I thought Everton were good enough to get into the Champions League. There was a number of times I've gone to Wembley with you thinking that we'd bring the cup home the following day. I don't get that anymore, but for me, it's not just about that. It's about the whole club. The whole club, to me, in the past 12 months, the feeling I've got towards that club has changed. And a lot of it is,
isn't it?
a lot of it is a lack of trust and a lack of direction, a lack of identity. I don't believe in the football club anymore. I love it, and I'll always love it. I don't believe in it. And a lot of that is because
I love a good analogy, as you know. I think for me, and you just talked about like going to the match and stuff and how that's changed. It's a little bit like going out with your old group of schoolmates that you still love, but some of them, have been like kind of doing stuff behind your back that maybe don't speak to you that much anymore. And there's kind of little comments in the WhatsApp groups and all that, and you're thinking, I actually don't really trust you anymore. And you have a few scoops, and then you think, I just want to get off here. Whereas in the past, you just wanted to stay out and have the whole night out.
It's a good way of looking at it. Again, I just summarise it for me. I just don't believe in. I don't believe in them people anymore. So it does need fresh.
Okay, well we'll keep an eye on that, and obviously we'll keep speaking about it, and hopefully if it materialises, we'll probably do a dedicated show on what it means when it comes out. But just thought it'd be worth touching on it. Going on to the Forest game, look, huge game. I mean, I've been speaking about it to other Blues, other fans of other clubs this week, and they've said, look, big game, is it a must win? I think it's a must not lose game rather than a must win one. Everton is going, what do you mean? It's Forest away. We've got to beat them. Obviously, we want to try and win that game, and it'd be massive for us to win it. But I've said it a few times. I look back at games against Southampton at home where a point from that game would have made a massive difference, not only to us but to them. Yeah. And Forest are in that bracket where if they win, they pull away, and I think the gap becomes 5 or 6 points. Yeah. Whereas a draw keeps it at 2 points. I think they're on 23 and we're on 21, something like that. But I think it's hugely significant it's hugely important, that we don't get beat.
I'm probably more in the camp that you're talking to people who are saying we've got to win. I think if we draw that game, the only way I think a positive draw will be if it's a late equaliser and the club and the playing staff are buoyed by it and the fans are buoyed by it and Everton leave the pitch with a spring in a step. I think that wouldn't be a bad point.
Or even like
the lesser of all evils,
even like
really.
A 2-2 might not be a bad point because like scoring more than
it's
one goal.
It's not going to be 2-2.
No, that's what I mean. But our biggest issue is scoring goals, and it's been well documented how many few games this season. I think it's 2 that we've scored more than 1 goal. So I think scoring more than a goal and getting a point might be seen as a positive as well.
Yeah, I just think we have to win. And if you look at the fixtures that are upcoming, look, I was wrong last year. We were looking at fixtures last year, and I said we were dead
Chelsea
because we had Chelsea, Man United, and Arsenal away, which
and obviously Arsenal at home is
never
another example of that.
Yeah, so I'm looking ahead that we've got Tottenham, we've got Newcastle, we've got Chelsea, we've got Man United. So for me,
Brentford.
Brentford's no walkover. They're a boss little side. And again, for me, last season I had more belief because of we had a striker out there who did, and I believed at the time could have dragged us over the line. Sorry, he scored enough goals to do that. I don't think we've got that now. So I don't think we can go into the April and May of this calendar year, of this season. Sorry, needing maximum number of points. I don't think we'll get them. So I think you've got to start not only taking maximum points from your rivals, but stop them getting. Don't even give them a point.
Yeah. No, listen, I get it, and I'm not. Listen, the Evertonian, the optimist in me, and it says that it is a must win, and we've got to win, and we will win. But I'm kind of looking at it thinking again, I'm looking back with nervousness at some of the results we've had this season and the implications now of those results. But listen, I'm in agreement that a win would be huge, particularly given the run of fixtures we've got coming up and you know, the lack of points that we're likely to pick up in them fixtures.
What an away win will do for us as well. To go away on Sky Sports in front of everyone. Yeah. All the rival managers are watching that, and then Everton go and get 3 points away from home. And Dyche's then turns over Arsenal, and he's took points off Leeds, and he's took points off the rival in Forest away. It's massive for me, and we always go into these. It feels like we go into most weeks going, biggest game of the season, biggest game of the season. This is now the biggest.
Every game, and you know, it's cliche to say every game's a cup final, but it ultimately is. Yeah. Apart from the games like, you know, Arsenal away, which, you know, we're not going to go over it too much, but I mean, the one thing I will say, because, you know, there's two things for me. One, I wasn't expecting to get anything from that game, so anything would have been a bonus. The second thing for me, it's another game like Liverpool away, where a Sean Dyche team just lays down. Like we done okay at the start, but even when we were doing okay, it was doing okay to just keep the ball out of the net, wasn't it? It wasn't really with any intention of trying to score.
With that first goal with him, he knew we were dead.
Yeah, and it's that's it. I mean, look, I don't want to start with the negativity on the manager at all. That's not the case. But I did say it from the, you know, after the Liverpool game, he's got a reputation which precedes him still at Burnley, where they go away to the bigger sides, or even sometimes at home with the bigger sides, but mainly away, and they go 1-0 down. It was just like, how do we keep this score below 5 or 6? And it looked like another one of them at Arsenal.
It did, yeah. And one of the more disappointing aspects for me for the performance was just some individual errors again. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't really want to talk about Judgy and Gay.
Yeah, I think it's worth it, because we're going to come on to the team against Forest, and you've obviously got some strong opinions on Gay.
I was so happy when he came back. And I remember he came on in the derby. He came on against Liverpool at home in his return, and he looked really good. I was like, God, he's going to give us minimum a year of just that safety net in the middle of the park. Not only are we not getting a safety net now, he's becoming a liability. I mean, look at the back. Was it against Arsenal? Was it Arsenal Leeds? It might have been Leeds in the first half. And he'd done this woeful back pass at the Gladys Street end. And if Leeds had a decent striker,
yeah, Pickford raced onto it, didn't he?
Again, I literally cannot remember the game he done it in. But Brighton and Rome, he done it. Brighton and Rome, he done this suicide ball when they went 4-0 up. Arsenal, he's dilly-daddling on it. And I'm watching in other parts of the game, but it's not hurting us, but he's doing similar things. He's losing possession so easily. He's getting caught.
I mean, Sean Dyche obviously seen it. I mean, it's been...
He hooked him, yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen a player taken off in that type of position for a centre-back. Now, Mason Holgate has played in that defensive midfield role before, it should be added, but to hook him at half-time for a defender, that was him saying, listen, I'm not having that. You're taking risks there that are not.
Who else is that we can play there? Because there is no Alan there. There's no.
No, I mean, for me, we'll come on. We'll make sure I'll come on to that now. Okay. Because you know, in terms of the Forest side, there's another bit of news that's come out this week, and Sean Dyche has kind of put the fire extinguisher on it, so to speak. In that Alex Iwobi's not happy. He's looking to move. That's a separate topic in terms of whether we should sell him or not. For me, it would be insane to do that outside of a window when you can't replace him. But in any case. Let's be honest, the reason he's unhappy is he's been taken out of that central role, which he was enjoying. You know, he's been put out on the wing again. Fair play to him, he's still putting a shift in, he's still working hard and stuff, but he's clearly not happy. He went back almost from the moment I seen him wide again. I'm thinking of that Liverpool game, he looked like the old Alex Iwobi again. And maybe he's feeling that. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's thinking, my God, I'm going to go back to this player that the Everton fans hate, and I don't want to be that player. Now, going back to your question, what do you do? Do you not drop Decore a little bit deeper? Do you not put Anana into that more box-to-box role? And do you not put Iwobi back into the middle?
I would be all for putting Iwobi back into the middle. How you do it, I don't know. Because I don't think Decore is as disciplined as to play that deep. I think every time he's played for us, he's had an Alan or he's had a...
But you have two then? Because as in like a two hold midfielders as in Anana and Decore?
I don't know whether he'd have to play some sort of diamonds and lose a winger. I don't know. But I don't think he will, because he seems to like the fact that McNeil can get like last week at Villa at home, like McNeil, all the play was going to McNeil and he was whipping the ball in. So don't see him doing that. But as I'm thinking of formations in my head and a way to get Iwobi, and that would probably be the one way where you do it, where you're still having Onana and Decore, and you're probably still going to have a sitter. I don't know whether you give it to Mason Holgate and just say, can you go in there? I don't know
Just
if you give
sit
it to
there
Tom
and,
Davies.
it's a bit like having a back three then,
Can
isn't he?
James Garner come
drop
in?
in between, he's not ready. But if he drops in between, he almost sits in between the two centre-backs, doesn't he? Like a centre-back. And then when we're in possession, moves a little bit further up.
And you do, and maybe, look, I don't think the left-back's in good form, Michalenko.
No.
Maybe do you look at, can McNeil play a sort of like a wing-back role and he gets covered? I don't know, but it's going to get to shit or bust eventually because we're not scoring goals. And the only way you're going to score goals is by keep creating and keep creating. And we create more chances with Alex Iwobi in the middle of the pitch than we do with them wide. It's just figuring out how to get him back in there.
But I think it goes back to the mentality of this game though, doesn't it? If Sean Dyche is in my camp, so to speak, where he knows or he thinks it's so important to not lose the game, Holgate starts all day. If he's thinking, we've got to outgun Forest here, I think Iwobi comes back into the middle. I think, he'd probably bring Gray in, Tamari Gray in as well.
He's another one. For me, and again, we've had debates on the podcast, and I'm a fan, probably more of a fan than maybe
you are.
Maybe you are. Yeah. You've got to get him in that team somehow. He's probably, like last year I looked at Richarlison and I thought he was the one who, if anyone was going to score 4 or 5 goals, this time last year it was going to be Richarlison. If anyone's going to do it this year, and we can't get Lewin back, it's going to be Damari Gray.
I thought he would have had a punt at Damari Gray up the centre. I did. But I just think he seems to, he does. He certainly likes to have someone who's just going to back into that centre back, whether he's 5'8" like Morpay or whether he's 6'4" like Ellis Sims. He wants someone who's going to occupy a centre back, and whether it's win the first ball or make that second ball more attainable for us to win. So as much as I would like to see Damari Gray in the team, I'm struggling to see where he comes in, given the way that Sean Dyche is approaching.
Yeah, look, hook or crook, and the Villa game last week, I know Gray came on, he looked a bit disinterested. I think for Villa's second goal, there was an element of Gray not tracking back and not working hard, and some fans picked up on that. For me, it's at a time of the season now. We're now in March. God knows how we're in March this year. It's just flying, by the way.
Well, we're not really, are we? It's more like February. Let's because of the World
just
Cup.
come into it, yeah.
Because of the World Cup.
Yeah. So it's still 13 games, but you're getting to a point now where I think Sean Dyche is going to have to sacrifice some things to get Everton going.
Well, there's only so many opportunities to win games, isn't there?
He's going to have to sacrifice the fact that Damari Gray may not give him what he wants, track him back. And that's the whole reason that, Rafa Benitez didn't want certain players. He shipped Bernard and James Rodriguez straight out the door because he knew what he wouldn't get going backwards. And he was very defensive minded. At some point this season, he's got to. The only
time Sean Dyche has put up with those players, and I'm thinking, and again, I'm not a Burnley expert, but you could almost name Burnley's 11 every week.
Yeah.
Rodriguez Jay Rodriguez was the exception in terms of he come in and out of the team. He's the type of player who doesn't really track back, a little bit like a Damari Gray, bit of a more flamboyant, luxury player, so to speak. The only time he played in that team was off the striker. Yeah. Like, 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2 if you call it that. And again, we are lacking those, the balance in midfield to be able to play that. Now that's another notion. Do you go with a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1 where you have your 2 midfielders into Corey and Anna, and then you play an Iwobi off a Gray or a Gray off a Morpay? I mean, that could work. I mean, the argument is he's kind of done that a little bit already.
I pull my head out looking at the options that we can...
The lack of options.
The lack of options that we have to win football games. Yeah. I imagine, despite what his public persona is saying, which has been great so far, the manager, I imagine he does feel the same. I imagine he's looking in-game and going,
well, I
haven't got 2 wings and a striker to put on here. I haven't got a number 10 to switch. He's looking at 4 centre-halves and a left-back.
And in his defence as well, from Iwobi's perspective, he's had a little choice but to put Iwobi there because he's trying to
there's no one else.
He is trying to get more attacking players on the pitch. Yeah. And as you've said, and we both accepted, he doesn't trust Damari Gray. So it's a conundrum. But let's get back to the main question that I wanted, or that I had. What's your 11 for Forest then?
Keeper picks himself. Yeah. I would keep Seamus Coleman in because I know Nathan Patterson has played 2 games for the under-21 so far, and he broke down in 1. I think he only got 70 minutes this week. So to throw him back,
he won't be ready.
Throw him back in. We'd get more attacking wise with Patterson in, but I just think this game, I would keep Seamus Coleman in. I would bring Yerry Mina in for Michael Keane.
Oh, I think, you know what? I didn't even think that was a possibility to see Michael Keane playing again. I really hope it's not. I mean, when I seen the lineup, we'll briefly go back to that a second for Arsenal. my first instinct was he's trying to rest Conor Cody, or he's thinking, and he did suggest that in his pre-match to say, look, Conor Cody is, not, despite not being 35, 36, he's not maybe, physically the player that other players are, and he needs that rest out of the team. But
I think he put him in there for that deep block, didn't he? As long as if he's that far back, no one gets behind us.
It's interesting you're saying no, Yerry Mina and Cody doesn't even come into it.
Well, I think Cody stunk the gaff out for about 6 weeks. I think he was poor at Anfield. I think he was poor at West Ham. He was unbelievably bad for the goal against Aston Villa.
Everyone.
Yeah, and everyone raised the game for that. And
it was okay.
It was one of those games, and like I say, I've said this to you before on the podcast. How many poor teams do pull things out the hat? And we had a poor team. We pulled the Arsenal one out, but other than that, I don't think he was very good. So he wouldn't come back in for me. I bring Yerry Mina for me, and I include Tarkowski in this. Is our best defender.
1v1 against the forwards.
He's our best defender. Like recovery. What he can't do is play a high line because he hasn't got the pace to get back. But if you say to him, fight him today for us, he'd be itching for it. He loves it.
They got that big centre forward, haven't he?
Loves
I can't remember his name.
It's not Chris Wood, is it?
No, the big fella he got from Germany.
It's Chris Wood. Chris Wood does play first now, doesn't he?
No, he does, but I'm not the fella I'm thinking about. I mean, the listeners or viewers will be shouting it down the screen now, but it's the big fella they play up front anyway is very much like Yerry Mina. Give
Yerry Mina to them. And what you do get from Mina as well is you also get our set pieces.
Set plays, yeah.
If he's in there for our set pieces and he goes up there, so I'd play him with Tarkowski. I would play Ben Godfrey left back. I really would. I think Mikalenko
another person who gives us more physicality from set plays.
Yeah, again, and I think
tap it.
When we're in so much trouble, we can't carry people who are out of form. Now Mikalenko at the end of last season, along with 4 or 5 others, really upped his game. Great. This season he hasn't done it for me. He's looked poor, and he's actually I think he's getting more nervous in his play. I think he's probably feeling a little bit like I could do with. If this was 3 years ago, putting Leighton Baines in for the second half of the season.
The thing is as well, if he keeps Dwight McNeil, and we'll come on to that in a second, whether he stays in, he keeps him in the team, and Dwight McNeil will hug the touchline and get the ball in. Mikalenko doesn't really know what to do. No. He wants to go outside him and you kill him. You want someone who's going to run through the centre and go in the inside channel, and that's something that Godfrey, is almost, he's famous for, just charging through that.
And I think Godfrey's also got the energy to help cover when our shape changes. If you're going to play a Ghana guy or you're going to play a Mason Holgate in there, I think Godfrey at times will help just cover in and just tuck a little bit. He's got enough energy to get back in position.
Okay, so there's your back four.
McNeil and Gray, I would play. McNeil on the left. Again, not McNeil's biggest fan, but I can't dispute the fact that he's creating chances for us. They might not be pinpoint accurate crosses, but he keeps doing that. The ball's going in the box, and that's majority how you score a goal.
Is that not a good reason though to get Iwobi into that middle
midfield? That's where I'm going. Iwobi comes in.
Get the ball in the box and get him in there.
100%. Iwobi is in the middle of the pitch for me. I play Doucouré and I give Onana number 6, and I say to Onana, you've been signed as a 6, so we understand that you're rough, and we understand that we have to take care of you. But for this game, and possibly for the running now, we need you to really start owning the show in the midfield and helping this football team. And I would play Ellis Sims up top.
Fair enough.
You?
Fair enough. I couldn't really disagree with that. I mean, couldn't disagree with the reasons for playing those players. I don't think he'll play Yerry Mina. I think Godfrey's got as good a chance as anyone of coming into that lineup. I do think Ellis Sims gets a start.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll play longer than an hour, but I think he'll be giving the same message to him, probably as he gave him at Anfield and probably as he gave Calvert-Lewin in that game against Arsenal. Go and run your socks off for 60 minutes, go and be a nuisance, go and, get a yellow card if you want, throw an elbow to someone.
Pin a defender for us, why we try.
Make it difficult, and then, if Morpie does come on, he's coming on where there's a few more gaps and there's maybe a few bruised centre-backs in there, but, I don't disagree with that. I completely agree. I mean, for me, I was kind of putting it on a plate for you. I want Iwobi back in the middle for a number of reasons. You can't disagree and you can't criticise the output, regardless of his performances, which I don't think have been anywhere near what they were 12 months ago. 8 assists is no joke. Do you know what I mean?
And all from central.
And as a lot of people keep saying in the comments when we criticise him, apparently it's the best outside of the top 4 in terms of output. So look, that can't be sniffed at all, and it shouldn't be when we're a team that's lacking goals so much. So, listen, let's see where that goes. I do agree with you. I'd love to see Demarai Gray come in. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure about it. I'm really struggling to pick an 11
because we haven't got the options,
And I think the manager, his last two lineups have suggested that he's struggling a little bit in terms of how to create that formula, particularly away from home. And I think, going back to my original point and my original mentality towards the game, I think the manager will take a lot of positivity out of getting a draw, because he'll go, you know what, to point on the road that we haven't really been getting. But look,
do you know what? I don't think he'll change much. I've said I'll do 3 or 4 changes there. I don't think he will. I think he'll probably look at, this 11 beat Leeds and this 11 beat Arsenal. So this 11 with Garnagai and Morpay and Michalenko will. And
going back to Dyche's reputation, that's been what the Burnley fans have said. Like, he will persist with the 11 that he sees as being his blueprint.
So I would not be surprised to see the same team that plays against Arsenal on Wednesday. I wouldn't go near it. And for me, I don't know whether you want to talk a bit more about. I get angry watching Neil Morpay play for Everton. I get angry, and we've said on this podcast sometimes that we know these clips go viral, and we don't want little snippets to, go to people and make things worse and things. But I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm watching them, and there's nothing. And we're getting chances now that there was a chance off the line against Leeds. For me, it was a poor header. It wasn't even, and then there was one against Aston Villa off the line where he.
The only thing I'll say, not in his defence, but just generally from a football perspective, the positive thing that Dyche will take from it, and in the back of his mind, deep down, maybe in his psyche, that Morpay will take from it, he's getting chances, and it's not easy to get chances.
Makes me hate him more.
I know, but it's not. Yeah, I get it. Listen, and I can't defend him. But what I will say to you, there's a lot of strikers out there across the country who won't get chances in the Premier League, don't get in the right positions. Being in that position and getting ahead of the opposition in the penalty area is a positive, whether you like it or not. And it will, whether it's him scoring. And this was the thing, I've spoke to a few Brighton fans. What they said is he put himself in that many positions that if he didn't score, someone else would. And he'd kind of get in front of someone, he'd get his knee on it, get his his chest on it, his shoulder on it, and someone else then puts it in. He wasn't really enough times. In enough moments, that person who scored goals, and we see that from the stats. But
I just don't see it with him.
No. Listen, I know. I don't.
It's not even borderline winds me up. It winds me up to watch him play for us.
No, we haven't had many worse strikers. I can't disagree with that.
Velios would walk in our team now. Would walk in.
Yeah.
Rondon would walk in this team.
And that's the laughable bit of it. I think Dyche is probably looking at going, why is Rondon not still here?
Rondon.
Yeah. You know what? The other thing is, though, and this is what struck me as well, you can't tell me there's no free agents out there who can go and do a job up there at the moment.
There's got to be a striker that you'd say, look, just pin a defender for us. And if you get a half chance, we reckon that you'll...
There's got to be. And I refuse to believe that there's not forwards out there that are free agents, whether from France, Spain, Germany. You always get it on Instagram, those pages putting up the free agents 11. And whatever forwards are in there, I'm thinking I'd take him.
I'll tell you whoever he is. The one on Wednesday where he backheeled it to Iwobi, he backheeled it too hard. And we had that little moment, and Iwobi's like, why'd you do that?
It's hard to actually do that. That's a tough thing to do. But look.
Morpay 1-0 tomorrow then.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take that. 1-0. Believe in you, lads.
Screen now, Morpay 1-0. But look, that's it from us. As I say, there's been lots of content out this week, and we appreciate everyone that's watched, as always. Go back to it, and there's probably a lot of people who won't make it to this part of the podcast, but please subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah. Please.
Because everything for us, like we said at the start there, it just allows us to do more things. The behind the scenes, what we try and do on YouTube and release. You ever see people do shorts and they do 2-minute shorts and stuff? We're trying to do that on social media. We can't do many of those on YouTube, and that would allow us to grow. It would allow you to put these little shorts in the WhatsApp groups and stuff, and the more viewers that we get. I think Judgy said this best last week. We're not going to charge. We're not a podcast who's going to put a paywall up. We've both got full-time, I'll say, careers, so it's not an option for us. The ones who are out there doing it and doing really well are full-time doing it, and there's great content. I'm a subscriber to a couple of them myself, but we just want to bring some real good, at times fun content to you, and lots of shows remote. Look, we're doing things face-to-face, but to allow us to do some more and bring you some guests. You've seen we had Jamie Carragher on, we've had Tony Belly on in the past, we've had Don Hutchison, Kevin Campbell, Tony Cotty, we've had them all on, but we need to make our YouTube a little bit more sort of, not professional is the wrong word, but just do more with it, and we can't do that without your help.
It attracts people as well, so as you say, those guests, the first thing they do is go on YouTube and go, let's see how many subscribers they've got. They don't see, and the ironic thing is we spoke to loads of other podcasts who say, can't believe how many views you get given how low your subscriber number is compared to others. So that there's definitely a disparity there. So I won't stop banging the drum until that evens out. But listen, that's all from us this Saturday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully Everton don't ruin it, and hopefully, as Millsy said, more by 1-0 will be beautiful. Up the fucking Toffees.